Hey, what's up? We need to. Oh, you're recording?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a vlog. What was it? What time is it?
6:44.
44, fuck. Oh man. I feel like I'm gonna be the last one there when I get there, but I do have this 32-ounce liquid energy to help me, thank God. So this is my fourth Friday the 13th where I've been tattooing. And well, fourth Friday the 13th since I have been in the tattoo world. The first Friday the 13th that I worked, I was just a helper. I was not doing any tattooing myself. So this is my third one tattooing, and this is the second one this year, and I just kind of don't feel like I have the same adrenaline that I did with the first few. I want to reach at least 100 tattoos. Last time I did 101. The time before that I did like 110. If I reach 100, I'll be fine. If not, that's okay too. It's just gonna be a long day. Okay, got here right at 7. It looks like there's not a whole lot of people here, which I am kind of glad about so far, because we did tell people that we were opening at 7:30. So I have a little bit of time to still mentally prepare and everything. So hello and welcome to the time-lapse section of the video where you get to see every tattoo that I did all day. And I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit of the history behind Friday the 13th and what it is, why we do it, that sort of thing. So for those of you who don't know, Friday the 13th is a tattoo holiday in America. It was started in the 90s and shops can choose to participate. The standard for most shops is that they run deals for $20 tattoos or $40 tattoos. But if you're a higher caliber shop, you might have set appointments where you fill out hour slots or even longer and have deals for $100, $250, $400 tattoos. It just depends. Each shop gets to choose how they celebrate, if they even want to participate in the deals or not. It's kind of like, I don't know, I can't really compare it to anything because it only ever happens on Friday the 13th, so it's not like Thanksgiving where it happens once a year for sure. Some years there's 3 Friday the 13ths, some years there's 1, some years there's none. So I also want to self-correct a little bit because earlier I said that this was my 4th Friday the 13th and this is actually my 5th. My first Friday the 13th was when I was an apprentice at another shop and I was just a helper at that time. So this is actually my 5th Friday the 13th and my 4th Friday the 13th tattooing. So yeah, kind of crazy. kind of weird to think about that I've been through this 5 times now, but oh well. So let's get into the history a little bit. Tattoo godfather, or father of tattooing in America, Sailor Jerry, is the one that's credited towards the number 13 being such a big deal in tattooing. I am having a really hard time finding any solid documents or history or even letters or things like that. I've done a lot of research on this because each Friday the 13th I want to know a little bit more. So all of this information is just what I've gathered, bits and pieces from interviews or from snippets here and there, articles I've read on various sites. So Sailor Jerry, he's the one that's credited towards the number 13 because he used to think that superstition was for sissies. And I actually found this really cool advertisement while I was searching this morning, from the Sailor Jerry Rum Company, where they were also participating in a Lucky 13 Fridays, but I can't find the year for this, and I can't verify whether it's actually an advertisement from the Rum Company or if it's a fan-made sort of thing. I'm not sure. But Sailor Jerry, he was very well known for believing that man makes his own luck. So he took the number 13 and he started tattooing it on men that he believed made their own luck, such as sailors and Navy men, stuff like that. And he did this with a lot of things. There were a lot of unlucky things that he decided, no, that's bull honky, and he made it lucky, like the black cat. So number 13 became a huge icon, a huge symbol in the tattoo industry ever since Sailor Jerry times, ever since the 1930s, 1940s. It's on a bunch of flash pages. It's one of his favorite things to put on his flash pages, and a lot of people have gotten this tattooed. In the 70s, there was the Friday the 13th movies that came out. They had nothing to do with tattooing. They're completely unrelated. Not sure why they happen to fall on the same thing. Maybe I wish somebody would interview Oliver Peck about this, because he is the one that's credited towards making Friday the 13th a holiday in America. And it was his shop, what was that called again? Elm Street Tattoo in Texas. His shop is credited with being the first to hold a Friday the 13th flash sale in 1996. And originally, it wasn't a flash deal like it is now. It was, he wanted to tattoo the number 13 on as many people as possible on Friday the 13th. So everybody in his shop held a 24-hour event, and I think the first time it said that they did around 400 people. I believe 400 something, or maybe just he did 400 something. Probably just him. But then the next Friday the 13th event happened, and it grew even more. More people wanted to be a part of this. So the next time that they held the event, it was 1,000 people outside the door waiting. And the next time they held the event, it was 2,000. It just kept on growing and growing and growing. And it grew so much that now pretty much every shop in America participates in some degree if they want to. After the first Friday the 13th event in 1996 with Oliver Peck and his co-shop owner, Dean Williams, they, like I said, this event went to a bunch of different shops. Everybody started doing this. After a while, it changed from being the number 13 to being like specific designs, flash designs. And there was a set price because it was the 13th. They set the price at $31 with a mandatory $9 tip, or expected $9 tip. So the tattoos were $40. And then after a while, things changed to $20 because the market is competitive and people want more people in their shop than they do in other shops. So that's how it changed to $20 tattoos. As far as I know, the shop that I work at has not skipped a $20 Friday the 13th deal at all. We do them every time. And the first Friday the 13th that I worked, I tried to count up how many people we had in the studio, and it was around 500. And I'm sure each time has been comparable, if not more. This time we actually had less people in, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because the last Friday the 13th was just a couple months ago. Maybe we didn't have enough flash designs. Maybe we didn't market ourselves enough. I don't know. But in 2026, there's only one, and it's in June. So we'll be ready for it. So since I have a little bit of time, I guess I could talk about my first Friday the 13th working in a tattoo shop. It was during my first apprenticeship, which, if some of you guys know, I was fired from that. And coincidentally, I was fired the day after Friday the 13th. So leading up to Friday the 13th, we were all getting prepared. I was given a station all my own on like the 11th or something like that. It was May 10th or May 11th. I was given my own station and I got to like hang everything up, or they wanted me to wait to hang everything up until after the event. So I was still manning the phones and I was still drawing flash and I was still doing apprentice duties. I was having a lot of tension with another artist in the shop. He was ignoring me to the point where if I said something, he would talk over me. He would slam doors if I was following him behind, and he would just overall very, very mean and abrasive. He had a lot of issues, and from what I understand, he still kind of does. But anyway, so Friday the 13th comes along. I'm trying to help as best as I can, and it's very difficult because he won't talk to me. He'll talk to somebody else to tell me something, and I'll respond to him and he'll ignore them, and then he'll be again like, "Can you tell her that I said?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm 5 feet away. Like we're sitting next to each other. What are you just childish games, you know?" And so it was very difficult. It was very tense. Some of my friends came in to get tattooed, and he tattooed them. And as soon as he found out that they were friends of mine, he would act very cold and very mean to them and kind of just not listen to what they wanted about the tattoos. And so that was not great. At the end of the night, my mentor was telling me what a good job I did. Everything went so smoothly. He was really happy with how I was helping and everything like that. And he tipped me, I think it was like $50 or something like that, which I wasn't expecting anything. I was just glad to be a part of it. You know, it was my first one. I was stoked, even if it was kind of tense and uncomfortable with that artist, which it had been for months now, so that wasn't an issue. And then the other artist that had an issue with me, he gave the money to my mentor and told him, "Give this to her." And my mentor was kind of like, "Give it to her yourself." And he was like, "No, give it to her. We'll talk tomorrow." And I was like, whoa, okay. I thought I did a good job, but I guess he's still mad. Oh well. So I came in the next day, and they had given me my station, so I started hanging things up. And me and my mentor had worked on one little tiny piece of fake skin, and he was pushing me along really quickly because the shop owner, who was living in Arizona, wanted things to move really, really quickly. And so I had done one tiny little piece of fake skin, and I had built my own machine, and I started setting up my own station and everything, and I was feeling really good. And then the day after Friday the 13th, this other artist saw me putting up my flash designs at my station, and he got so upset he had to leave for the day. He told the shop owner that he didn't want me there anymore and that it was either him or me. And so it was it was a really long day, and I knew it was coming. I could feel it in my gut. I knew something was off. I knew he was mad at me, and I knew because of the way that my mentor was acting that he had something he didn't want to talk about, but we had to talk about it. So at the end of the night, when I started like all of my cleaning duties, my mentor sat me down and he was like, before you clean the shop and everything, I just want to let you know we have to let you go. Like, I don't want you to clean the whole shop and then be mad that you cleaned everything and then have to leave. So he stopped me before I had to clean the shop, and we had a good talk, and him and his wife, they were so nice to me, and they really didn't want to see me go. I didn't want to see me go either, but it was out of both of our hands. Like, at this point, this other artist was making the shop money and I wasn't. So from a financial perspective, it made sense to keep him instead of me. And there's a lot of things about this artist that I've found out after the fact where I am not alone in having issues with him. And it's not because of anything on my end. It's because this artist has a lot of misogynistic or likes young girls sort of thing. But I wasn't the right type of young girl for him. It's hard to talk about. It's hard to get into. But I do have even more stories about working at that shop and some of the weird things he would say or do. And actually, during this Friday the 13th, I tattooed somebody who used to get tattooed at that shop, but the guy he got tattooed by left because he had some of the same issues with the gentleman I had issues with. So kind of feels good to know that I'm not alone, but at the same time kind of feels not good that this guy now owns that shop and has been tattooing maybe 6 months more than me and has, I think, a decade of life experience over me and still acts like an immature, annoying, egotistical piece of, you know? Anyway, I kind of went off on a weird tangent, but that was my first introduction to Friday the 13th, was just being a helper and then immediately getting fired after being told that I did a really good job. So that was cool and fun. The Friday the 13th after that, I had already been tattooing for a few months, and since it was $20 line work only tiny tattoos, my new mentor, thought that I would be up for it. And my first Friday the 13th, I did, I believe, 46 tattoos. My second Friday the 13th, I did 83. My third, I did 111. Then earlier this year, I did 100, 101, something like that. And then this time, well, I'll tell you how many I did later on in the video. But as you can see, I had a little bit of downtime during this time lapse. There was probably about a 45-minute, maybe half an hour lapse where I could just chill out. I actually kind of preferred this pace instead of just wall to wall, back to back, constantly for 16 hours, just straight tattooing. Usually during Friday the 13th, I get this blister on my thumb around like 2 or 3 p.m. from just holding my machine for that long. And this time, I didn't get a blister on my thumb until like 6:30. And it went away pretty quickly, like the next day. So that was really awesome. Less painful. Still got to see a lot of my regulars, still got to see some new faces, and it was still a pretty good Friday the 13th, all things considered. We made it. We're out. Hi. I'm home now. I have to whisper because my boyfriend is sleeping. So, today was pretty good. I didn't reach 100. I only did 74. So, my take home for today was this, which looks like a lot. It does look like a lot, but that's because this much of it is in ones from tips and just people having ones in cash. I don't know. At San Bernardino, that's what happens. So now I'm gonna have a little bit of this pre-roll. I got some Jack in the Box. I'm gonna drop on my appointment tomorrow.